It's just unreal what is going on energetically on Earth, the galaxy, the collective, the universe. Everything is there lined up, ready to help us. So I really want each one of us to be in that space where we can grab that gold ring, hook a ride with all these cosmic energies that are here to say, we're with you, you can do this, raise your game, expand your consciousness, and get with the new program, which is, of course, the fourth and fifth dimensions. So before we get started, though, there were no questions this month, so I guess we're all taking a holiday. Good news. Secondly, the meditation chakra activation is out. I want to thank those of you who've already bought it. Thank those of you who sent in rave reviews, which I will be sharing shortly. And I really would like to encourage those of you who perhaps haven't signed up to think about getting this activation, this meditation, because it is a very special composition that has been created, and it is designed to lift up your energies and take you to the next level. So give it some serious thought, please. We all have to pitch in. We all have to do our part, our share with raising the consciousness, because every thought, every feeling, expressed or not, and every action we take, it just doesn't stop with us. It doesn't stop with the person, place, or situation you may be directing your attention and focus on. It goes out there into space beyond each person involved. It soars up into the ethers and then into the collective. And if what we're expressing continues to be so much divisiveness, so much animosity and polarized thinking, and where we really get annoyed, upset, angry, go off center because someone isn't doing it the way we think they should, or doesn't think the way we think they should think, anything that's different from us, the time has come now to open up and just know everybody's doing the best they can. Everybody wants to feel safe and secure here on this planet, which is not presenting itself globally as a very safe, secure place. So let's all just fill up and understand whatever they choose to do or think is what's best for them. It creates a comfort zone for them where they can start sending thoughts, feelings, and behave that generates the peace, the joy, the prosperity that we're all looking for. So enough said. Behind you, you see a white orchid. That's the flower I'm using this month. But actually, my eldest son, John, gave it to me for Mother's Day. So I am thoroughly enjoying it. Now, white orchids, I decided, well, I'm going to look it up and see in the dictionary of flower lore what the white orchid means. And esoterically, and when I use the word esoterically, I'm talking about the unseen, the energetic. And then there's symbolically, which is the manifestation and what we think and feel and how we use it on Earth. But esoterically, the white orchid symbolizes universal wisdom, the wisdom of the universe. And we're going to hear a lot of that tonight. I didn't really think Haniel and D5 would be showing up because they've been nattering all month, or somebody has. So I figured they were all talked out. But lo and behold, at 4:30 this morning, there was a tap on my shoulder and off they started to tell me what they were going to tell me. So tonight's talk is probably more abstract, more filled with universal knowledge and wisdom than the practical earthbound stuff we're used to. That being said, know that the white orchid symbolically for us as humans represents beauty, grace, truth, and purity, which is quite lovely. So I have very good reminders when I come downstairs each morning. So tonight we're going to be spending a lot of time with the esoteric and the symbology of things, of numbers. And there's 3 points I'm going to be making that I'd like you to take with you for consideration. Really more than for consideration. I'd like you to really consider putting them into practice, using it, becoming aware, staying mindful of what this energy field this month is. Because June 2023 is really the turning point in our evolution as humanity, as people, both collectively and individually. And most of us are thinking that there isn't much we can do with all the global events that are being presented and tossed about and imposed and suggested. But the point is, our part is to get centered, to get grounded, to get a firm foundation that we feel safe and secure in, that is heart-based. Now, I know I said that in the insight letter, but I really would like to see you guys get it. And me too. We have to start living with that heart. It's here to stay. And so the first point I want to be making is we're going to be reviewing sort of the backstory, the origins of the number 13, because 13 has gotten such a bad rap, man-made, that we really have forgotten and what is important and what is going to be essential to creating the new times, the new earth. And it's very essential for moving into the 4th, 5th, 6th dimension and beyond. So the first one was we'll take a look at the history. The second one is what are the distortions that happened that we've been influenced by? And so we are apt to shun the 13 instead of embracing it full on and singing hallelujah. We're going to look at those because it's important that we have the balance here, that we know what it was intended for, what happened, and then, of course, its relevance to us today. Why 13 has got to be activated in all of us. And it is something we've been working for or working towards, whether you've been doing coaching or holistic healing or listening to music, whatever you've been doing to raise your consciousness. There's infinite ways, but it's all working, believe it or not, to connecting with the 13. Is that a surprise or what? I just love it. So just keep in mind, symbols apply to the personal. Esoteric applies to the universal. And that you've got it. Then you've got it. So let's start with the 13. How did it get started? And of course, the first thing I want to say is keep in mind that 13 is a mystical, magical number. We can't know all about it until we have attained or become enlightened. But we have some pretty good ideas that have come from us from higher beings. And so those are the ones I'll be presenting tonight. First of all, think of 13, 4, as 4 is your foundation, but it must be sourced in the 13 to go into 4th and 5th dimension. Now, how does that work out? 4, you know, is the foundation. Saturn just hums along and keeps putting it in our face to go within, ground it or anchor in our center, and yada, yada, yada. But this is what needs to be done because the global events coming up are going to go faster and be even more concerning than they have been to date. So if you aren't grounded within yourself, if we don't know who we are and what we're about and what we love in life, it will be a very rough voyage. So think of 4, it's the process which takes the energy of the 13 and makes it all happen. So 4 is your core that you base in your heart and you feel comfortable with. Once you really make that connection and open your heart, which I've been talking about now for 2 years, once the heart is opened, then the energy of the 4 flows through you, activates the 13, so that 13 manifests with love and joy and with great success. Both 4 and 13 are the numbers of manifestation. 4 does it in a very simple, practical, easy way. Once you've mastered that, it automatically activates and lifts you up to the higher octave of the 13. So if this isn't making sense, think of yourself in front of the keyboard of a piano. We start with middle C, but you go up the scale and you hit high C. That's what 4 does. It starts, it's your beginning, your core. But as you progress using the 4, you're lifting your vibration and you're moving up into high C, or in this case, the 13. So think of 4 as order, structure, dependability, truth, the core basics of life. That once we get down, we can move on. Now, 13, remember, holds the 1 of creator source with the 3, which is source creator. So creator source is what some people want to label God or the universe, or let's see, the divine, whatever your name is for that highest power. That's what 1 represents, the beginning of everything. And 3, which I now call source creator, is you and I. And we are here to source the creator in us. Okay. When those 2 numbers show up and they connect, then manifestation occurs. And then you implement all those attributes and lessons you learned from living a basic 4 daily life into the 13 to climb higher. That's speaking practically, of course. Esoterically, 13 is the universal energy that is in all dimensions. It's in it and it's on all dimensions. So what is that telling you? 13 is the God source in you. It is the source of all. And that is really the hidden message of the 13. When you think about it, very few people, very few institutions recognize this. But this is what we hold inside of ourselves. This is that point zero. I just got a signal that my startup disk is almost full, so that's what threw me. Excuse me. So here we go. So everything is connected. Now we know very little about the 13 until after Atlantis. But this is here what has been surmised in the various books, whether it's the Quran, the Jewish Torah, or the Christian Bible. They all speak of the same thing, and they all say, in the beginning was the Word. And the Word is a state of being in this case, okay? The Word was, I call it the source, just let's call it inert. I don't mean by that it was dead. I mean, it was just still. It wasn't active. There was no movement in it. And as things evolved, I guess that's the right word for it, there were 12 steps or cycles which had to occur, that had to be activated, which are considered attributes, qualities, characteristics that were necessary to be developed and then be united into an integral form to be activated so that the energy of this God could create outside itself. Okay? Before, God was still within itself, creating within the materials, the energy, the focus, in order to be able to create the universe. This kind of sounds kind of simple, I know, but stay with me, please. So we got that, and when God finally evolved, expanded, took on the consciousness of creation outside itself, the first thing it seems that was created were the 12 archangels. These were the immediate results of the light that Source was putting out into the world. And this is one reason why the 12 archangels are revered, and they are revered in every prime language, religion that we have, is that they were filled with so much light, but they each represented a step, an aspect of Source, of God, that needed to be explored and developed in order to manifest. This is why the number 13 has been hidden and kept secret. There are many metaphysicians, there are many scholars who do not believe that 13 is the frequency of God, of Source. Pythagoras, for instance, believed it was the number 5. I'm going to stick with 13 because 12 is that support number, that number of completion that leads to that state of being that is all-knowing, that is enlightened. So 13, you can call it empowerment or enlightenment. I'm easy, whatever resonates for you. But there it is. And this is why the number 13 is so sacred. It really is the most sacred of numbers if you apply this interpretation to it. Now, there are other symbols, and we find 13 hidden in all of them. For instance, the flower of life has 13 all through it, and the flower of light is considered to be a blueprint for life, for creation of life, for manifesting in life. And within the flower of life is the fruit of life, which is the connection between all things. And the fruit of life contains the Shakana, or the six-pointed star, as above, so below, which is essential for connecting to within and to without, and to seeing the source, the God self in all people. So it gets even more exciting because the Metatron's cube is filled with 13. Again, I've mentioned these things simply because from a long ancient days, 13 has been known to be the source of all creation. And coming down, source of all creation for me is the divine, the God self, the universe. I love it. Isn't this magical? You see why it's called magical? It's not there saying you must do this or do that. It just is. And it's there for each one of us to tap into, to recognize. So where else we see the 13 and these very deep, sacred geometric symbols and figures, but also originally there were 13 signs of the zodiac. The 13th sign was known as Arachne, or the spider. And of course, the spider is considered one of the more highly evolved insects, weaving its web and creating the fruit of life and the flower of life endlessly. So it's just interesting. The ancients went by 13 lunar cycles because there were 13 moons. So 13 again. And there were 13 months in the original calendar, which was only changed when the Roman Church decided 12 would be better. So it was a man-made decision to put 13 in the background and leave it hidden. And then, of course, think about it. There's 13 in the journey that the Christed One took. 12 apostles and Christ. There's always a central figure with 12 around, which is reflective of the 12 steps, stages, cycles that each of us go through in order to attain enlightenment, to raise the consciousness higher. Romulus, when he entered Rome, was followed by 12 shepherds. Odysseus had 12 captains or lieutenants. There are 12 gods of the Olympus, but there is always a central figure making the 13. And this tells us what we need to do to manifest and create whatever it is we in our hearts love and would want to do. I just think it's amazing. I just think it's so excited. 13 is so active in the Jewish religion with its 13, I think it's 13 prayers for mercy, 13 stages of faith. So we begin to understand, 13 really is powerful. We see the 13th card in the tarot, and I meant to pull it, but time got away from me. But 13th card in tarot is the card of death. And most people, when we pull that card, we all shudder and we wonder who's going to die. Well, actually, the card of death is not the card of physical death. It indicates that there is a significant change coming, that there is an ending to the chapter in your life that you've been experiencing. But there's so much light, and if you notice the card, it has the wind in its sails. There's so much movement that it's saying, and there's a new chapter coming, new beginnings with greater motion and light. So it is not the card of death, it is the card of death and rebirth. And we can all put our focus on death and the endings of things, which we always think of as very sad. And we forget we have to end out or close out certain things for there to be space for the new. We cannot create the new if there is no space in our lives to do it. So, how did things get so twisted? How did things get so mixed up? Why is 13 now considered an unlucky number? Well, part of it is that interpretation that says the 13 is death. And if you take the concept of rebirth or reincarnation out of the church, out of its syllabus, it just becomes death. It just becomes the end. However, that is not the original Christianity or the original teachings that Christ and one talked about. So it's easy. We get this feeling, and the feeling perhaps began with Atlantis. Know that in Lemuria, we have no record of 13 and this universal wisdom. I'm going back because I forgot a bit. Because Lemuria really didn't have a language back then. So there's no written records. There's nothing to reference to. But what we do know about Lemuria is they were able to empower the crystals. They were able to empower plants to grow and things to generate and live, which means they had that higher wisdom to create and manifest on their terms. Now, as Lemuria began to age and disintegrate, unfortunately, and there was a lot, if you remember my talks of probably about a year ago, when the men began to enter the sacred space of the divine feminine and the women, there was a lot of divisiveness and controversy and the usual brouhaha that we're used to, but was new back then. When they entered, they didn't understand that the women were infusing the plants, the stones, the crystals, life from their own process from within them. They thought that the rocks or the crystals or the whatever were giving it to the women. And that is where this displacement first began. And 13, for many, many cultures, began to experience a diminishing power of the 13th. Now, Atlantis went at 13 full roar, and there were two fractions, as you know, the good guys and the black hats. And the black hats misused the power of the 13, and good guys used it, but the black hats won, basically. And then the culture, the civilization was destroyed, but not before they had sent out emissaries to the entire world, not as we see it on a map today, but close. And they brought with them the hidden knowledge, not just of the 13, but all about other great creative issues that technology is just now tapping into. I prefer not to go into all that tonight. We'll get too far off track, and it's a story for another night. Let's put it that way. So it was known to the Sumerian cultures. It was known to the Mayan cultures. It was known to the Aztecs. It was known to the Egyptians. And the Egyptians worked with it extremely well. And then there is the myth of Osiris and how he was betrayed. And again, we have 13 buzzing around because, yes, 13 can mean death. It can mean betrayal, but it usually leads on to a greater consciousness at the same time of the deception. So 13 in Egypt perhaps was when it first became known to be unlucky, to be a symbol of death and betrayal, because Osiris was killed and chopped up in 14 pieces by his brother. So the whole dynamic and drama has been played out time and time again with every eon, with every chapter in our evolution. And then the 13 really began when the Christed One had 12 apostles and was crucified. And it was the 13th guest at the Last Supper, Judas of Iscariot, who betrayed him. That is when 13 really was, I would say, downloaded into our consciousness. And it was done by the churches because the churches were not filling up the seats, the pews. They couldn't reach people. So they decided they had that 13. If people still believed in themselves as a vehicle and missionary of God and being of God's self. And if you believe that with all your heart and it's your way of life, you don't need or perhaps don't want to go to church and have somebody else say they will intercede for you because you aren't enough or you aren't good enough. So what was an issue for the church was to get the concept that being in your power mentality, being in your light mentality had to be done through someone other than yourself. This is when 13 took the bad rap because people, for whatever reason in that time and place, drank the Kool-Aid. That's it. And that is when humanity gave its power over to outside sources. And 13 was shunned because Judas had betrayed our Lord, the Christed One. So that is really the story of why, to this day now, we could perhaps cite at least a dozen events where 13 has brought it on, so to speak. But that's because we accepted the fact that 13 was betrayal, was evil, was unlucky, was a bad omen, whatever. And in our acceptance of it, we created from it with our thoughts, feelings, and actions. 13 is neither lucky or unlucky. 13 is just a hugely powerful, creative, loving energy that exists in all of us. And until we claim it as such, it will remain quiet and still and perhaps inert. So, is this making sense so far? Do we have any questions or anyone puzzled? What?
I didn't understand how things went awry. You said something to do with woman and
Roxy, would you please write it for
yeah,
Roxy?
never mind.
Your voice
Keep
isn't
going.
projecting enough. Okay. Thank you. I will answer it. So this is 13. This is where it became distorted. This is what we all accepted or didn't think much about. So it's where it's at today. But that is why I talk so much about the 13 and the 4. Once you get that point of enlightenment, everything is revealed and you create from a whole nother mindset center, which it becomes your new 4, your new base of operations and foundation. And life, remember, is eternal. It is infinite. So we never stop, is the word. We just keep going. Now let's look at the 13 a little more practically speaking. I mean, I've claimed it esoterically. And also, I just want to add one fun thing, because, you know, I used to talk about Adelita, the turtle, remember, who was let out from her pen and swam her way up to Alaska, not without its stops and starts, as she broke the boundaries. Again, she faced her fears. So one theme for now in practical terms is I'm going to say to you, if you fear it, do it. Do it. Do it. Because the universe really doesn't care if you're successful or not. I know you are. I know I am. But the universe doesn't. The universe just wants us to break that pattern of fear and self-doubt and hesitation that keeps us from accessing and really experiencing who we are. So the 13 reminds us that the experience that you are creating or have created was created through your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. It is the creator in you. And what it's really dependent on is the head-heart connection. Because the 1 is mental, is masculine, it's mental. But 3, while it is still mental, it says you must act on this. 3 is of the heart, of joy. Remember, 3 is the number of happiness. So it's about leading with the heart filled with joy and love to manifest number 4, what it is you desire in life. It's a really simple formula. We've just like to muck it all up, and we have beautifully, but it's time to pull in the reins and remember that the heart is linked to the brain. There is a connection there. And 13, in that sense, when we are in the heart and we're connecting to the brain and things are moving back and forth, can create contrarian energy. When you start on the path to experience the 13, you're going to go against the grain of everything you may have been taught, everything you might have believed in, and really step up and say, I am a divine human being. I am source creator. I am sourced in creative, the creator. It's a powerful statement to make. And a lot of us find it scary and awesome. And a lot of us just want to run and hide. And those of us who do that will stay in the 4 and play out the 4. And that's all right, because each of us has the free will. Each of us has the right and the privilege to make a decision on how fast or not, or how smoothly or not, they will evolve, they will grow, they will expand their consciousness, they will raise their consciousness, they will expand their life experience. So I do have this to say, though, for those people who stay in the 4, who stay in that workably, routine, scheduled comfort zone, who still hang on to the beliefs of self-doubt, fear, and lack mentality generate, they will stay in third dimension. We cannot go into fourth, let alone fifth, without releasing enough of the doubt and fear that it doesn't influence us heavily. It doesn't run our lives. We don't organize around fear. This is essential. So the decisions that you make for yourself, 4, 13, which is basically what it comes down to, will take you forward, will take you up into the new earth, the new times, and the new paradigms, or not. Okay? In ancient times, the heart was considered the connection, the spiritual gateway to higher consciousness or to heaven, which is higher consciousness. So it's wise for us to remember there are 40,000 cells which create a neural system in the heart, which is connected to the brain. But what it means is the heart thinks and feels on its own. It does not need the brain. So breathing and breathing exercises sets up and strengthens the connection of your heart with your head or your brain so that they can flow back and forth, and you can use that connection easily and tap in to your own creativity and tap in, more importantly, to the power of the 13th. 13th is just the highest frequency we can hold within ourselves, at least at this moment. Who knows when we get up into the 7th and 8th dimensions? I'm sure the ball game will change. And ways to raise your frequency, we all know. We may not have known that we were headed towards that beautiful 13 and the high energies of heart, of love, compassion, mercy, joy, peace. But we knew we wanted to have more and experience more and be more than what we were now aware of. So yes, there's diets and there's meditations and there's exercise and there's walks in nature and there's music and there's energy work and there's plant medicine and there's coaching and therapy, all designed up until this point to release the toxic energy within us, or the stored energy that was unconscious, unaware, or ignored, or too afraid to go seeking the power innate in all of us, which the 13 represents. Remember, three in the 13 brings on joy and love. And what we're really being asked to do this month is, take mastery. Go into mastering your mind, to take charge of it, to redirect your thinking about what you want to do, about who you would like to be, and just pull up those 4 qualities of honesty, clarity, commitment, and completion. You mastermind, we master life. And that's exactly what we're being asked to do this life. And this particular stopover that we're in this June. I know most of you are into astrology. Most of you have probably tapped in to all the wonderful astrological support there is. But remember, we have had a full moon in Sag, and Sagittarius is known to be the sign of aiming high, of being honest, truthful, of the law, of justice. But it's also when we let go of that arrow, let's aim for the 13, that higher consciousness, whatever it is for you in this point in your evolution. I think it's exciting. I think it's wondrous. I mean, it really says there are no limits except what we impose on ourselves. And I guess seeing this 413 and channeling all this information, as well as experiencing, and perhaps this is more important, the energy of this information. It really is a big lift up. It just takes you right up there. And there is more peace and gentleness and kindness, all wrapped in to these higher frequencies. So I'm going to encourage you all, give it a shot. Go for it. Saturn and Neptune, remember Neptune is the higher octave and is the highest consciousness and most spiritual of all the planets. Saturn is our foundation. It's sitting in Pisces, which is the sign of spiritual consciousness and awareness. Saturn in Neptune and Pisces are saying, lift up, lift off, get going. You know, we're here. Tap into that energy. What is going to happen, and I think it will happen before year's end, is we will be looking at the lunar cycles more. We will go back to looking at the information that the stars give us. They only give us information. Everything respects our ability to choose for ourselves. So the stars don't say do it, they say you can do it and leave it to us. So it's an exciting time. Venus is moving into Leo, which means, come on, practice self-love, self-appreciation, self-care. So many people don't. So many people put themselves last or just don't bother. There is no room for sacrifice anymore. You love, you honor, you celebrate who you are. Remember, that is the 3. The energy of joy, the energy of happiness. So let's go for it. We have every reason to and every reason not to. I find it great. So I wish you the best and the happiest of adventures while you explore all this information. And if there are questions, are there? Nothing came through? Okay. Maybe you'll email me the question and I will answer it for you personally. Maybe that works better. Okay, so that's it for me. Now, as I said, I didn't think Haniel or D5 would be showing up, but they said, we're here. So just give me a minute. Okay. Hello, my beautiful ones. And isn't this a beautiful time? I do hope you take the information you've heard and take it to your heart and play with it, enjoy it, see what you can do with it. You know, for 1,000 years or more, this very deep, universal, secret energy has laid so deep and within the earth plane that you've all not had a chance to really experience it or to have the opportunity to evolve into the full awareness and consciousness of who you are. So enlightenment lies ahead for so many of you. However, it does require dedication and commitment and mindfulness of your actions, of your thoughts, of your feelings. However, I know you. I'm sure they're all going to be up high, positive, upbeat. And that doesn't mean you won't have down days and down and times and experiences of real upset and anger or resentment, jealousy. You are human. But just don't let those moments take over your life. That is the point of it all. Emotions flow. They are not structured. They are not designed to be put in a box. So just commit and take action on what you know you love and what you believe is best for you in your highest and best good. I want, though, for you to get clear on this thinking that it takes 12 steps or stages or cycles. Maybe you can count those in lifetimes, okay? It is up to you how long it takes, but you will go through to 12 cycles. You just may not stay long if you learn and get the gift of that particular stage easily, quickly. And this can be done when you stay mindful. So know that there's always going to be 12 steps, and will you know which one you're on? No. And you may not learn them in sequence. Everything there is just your timeline, your creation. You are creating this. So do whatever it takes for you to create and be in the state of consciousness that can manifest at will. That is what's known as magic, friends. When you put the thought in your mind from your heart, it happens. It's a magnet. There's no struggle. There's no delay because there is no separation. Separation is a man-made concept of the third dimension. So please give yourself the opportunity to move out of feeling separated and do what it takes for you to feel whole within yourself, complete, knowing you can do whatever is presented to you. There is nothing that is impossible. And remember, the concept of separation was created by the patriarchy, the top-down theory. We are all light beings of various degrees of light, maybe, but you are all of the light. Therefore, you are all connected. And we are looking for you to join us in this happy union. So please do not project the third dimension of paradigms and beliefs and the matrix onto the next dimension. That is the compromise, the corruption that occurred between the second and third dimension when you evolved. That is why we ask you to focus on the good, the beautiful, and create that, recognizing, of course, that there is evil, there is low frequency vibes all around in the world. Recognize it, acknowledge it, but don't engage in it. That is the difference. You live in a planet that is composed of the duality, and the evil or the bad or the wrong is there to show you what maybe you don't want, to choose not that, to motivate you to move on to a higher way of living. So we ask that you just know that there is no hierarchy in the archangel angelic dimension. We are all of the light. We are all one. It is the humans that categorize us and put us in order, but we do not recognize that. We are not in that structured environment that you exist in third dimension. This is a process where we all work together. We all have it all inside us. So see the flow to things, see the unity of things, see the connection of things. Those are all steps and gradations to achieving enlightenment, to raising consciousness, so you do experience peace on the planet. Remember, you are just coming home to yourself. That is all you're doing. You began with us. So please take our love, take our joy, but take our words with you. Be of service. 13 was in the beginning. 13 will be there till the end. It is the ultimate state of being. It is source energy, creative source, universal energy. That is all there is. Please recognize it. And if this is too fearful and too la-di-da, that's okay. You can choose how you respond to this. But we are sharing with you the truth, the wisdom as we know it, as we've experienced it. 13 is what you call God. Isn't that great? We just call it our friend. We just call it ourselves, each other. So please embrace this number and forget the unlucky or bad omen part about it. It was man-made. And if I could ask you to think about changing one more thing, you know, you have many statues of the archangels. Some of you have it on your personal altar. Some of you see them in churches. But usually, particularly with Michael, he is pictured with a sword. The archangels are pictured with swords, some of them flaming, representing wisdom and the higher knowledge. But we do object to swords. As you know, they have been used rather improperly in the third dimension. They are seen to kill, to maim, to destroy. And I want you to know that along with the 12 original archangels, they all came with the staff of life. They did not come with a sword because the staff represents the flow of life from higher consciousness to lower consciousness to higher consciousness. So if you have or see the images of the archangels with their swords and brandishing their swords to protect you or save you, this is not how we do it. This is just how third dimension does it. And we understand your need to humanize a realm, a dimension of being that you do not fully understand yet. But know you're on your way and you do understand it. And we do not need swords. We need the staff of life that represents flow. What I'm asking for you to consider is not a revolution, but a peaceful resolution to all the predicaments and challenges you face in your daily life. No more rebelling. Rebelling is always filled with anger or frustration or rage. Go within, please, and then stand for yourself. Speak up for yourself. Speak your peace, your truth. There's no need anymore for a fight. You have evolved beyond that. And it is only certain groups with vested interests that promote your wars, that promote your disease, that promote injustice. We are asking you to claim your own power, your own authority. Claim who you really are. And I'll leave you with that loving thought. And I hope your days are filled with the beauty and joy that really exists on your planet. And so it is. And I'm coming in now. Of course, there's no need to fight, to battle, to wage wars, but the divisiveness, the polarizing thinking that dominates in people's minds right now, you must look at more clearly and see this is what generates, this is what makes for wars. The feelings, the actions are provoked by are all those low-level frequencies that can only create a low life. So, please, we ask you, there is an alternative way. You had a leader many, many years ago, Gandhi in India, who suggested peaceful resistance. We suggest you take up that song, you take up that chord, and you just say no to things that don't work for you. Look for compassion, for a different opinion, or either, yes, or recognizing that someone is far less active or not doing what you believe. This is basically where all your wars and struggles and pain and suffering come from. And we are tired of watching it, and we want you to get tired of it. So each of you is doing your best to feel safe, secure. We know that. We know there's no need to blame. So we are asking you, when are you going to give it up? You cannot move into the fourth dimension if you're taking those particular judgments and emotional vibrations with you. There's no room. And many of you we see moving into that fourth, into the heart, into the love. And then you get pulled back. Say you go to the office, the work, say you have a run-in in the supermarket, and you get pulled back into the third dimensional behavioral patterns and consciousness, so that you become split in your approach to life. You may hold 4D consciousness when things are going good, well, the way you'd like, but I'm here to say, do you hold it when things aren't going your way, when they aren't as you projected them to be? Because this is the true test for you, in whether you are living in your heart and speaking and coming from your heart. If you can hold your center in love, in neutral, when everything about you is falling apart, or people are being unkind, people are being thoughtless, situations are just impossibly difficult. If you can hold it, then you know you're in the fourth dimension and you're ready to get this. Because you see, the reason why we have encouraged Our Lady to speak so much this evening about the 13 and the 4, and how one will keep you in third and one is small-minded and the other is limitless and joyous, and fourth, fifth dimension on will take you as far as you want to go. The fifth dimension, by many, many metaphysicians on your planet, has already entered. Some people feel it entered in 2021. I happen to believe it's entering now full force with all the crystalline galactic energy that is being downloaded here onto you, into you, and on the planet. The earth is being very receptive and open, people. The earth is moving into fifth dimension. So the earth right now is not stable. And we realize that it is one of your greatest options is to go be in nature. Walk with barefoot in the sand or the earth, take a hike, swim in the ocean. Nature has a wonderful way of restoring you. We recognize that. I am here to caution you that when you walk and take your time off into nature, you set an intention, because Earth is unstable right now. It has third and dimensional energy, it has fourth, and it has the fifth. And the fifth is very raw and very new, but it's still there. It is up to you to set the intention when you choose to do whatever you do, is to set the intention to be in contact with the energy of, and pick your dimension. Pick your intention, your purpose. You must do this, or maybe third dimension will pop back in. Or maybe you'll skip up to fifth dimension and you haven't quite completed fourth. It's very important. Intention is everything right now. I encourage you. It is part of taking ownership of being able to be the creative source of yourself, in yourself. So work with nature, but realize it's very young in Earth's fifth dimensional energy. And if you aren't ready for it and haven't opened your heart fully enough and stabilized the heart as your core, as your foundation for life, you will do yourself more harm than good if the energies within you get too scrambled. So I offer it to you with great love, great kindness, and with a very clear, definite, purposeful intention. This is for your awareness. This is for your consciousness. This is for you to use. But there are so many disruptions on Earth right now in Earth energy. You have only to look at the flooding, at the what do you call them? Earthquakes and the volcanic activity to know that Earth is being disrupted as well as you. So when you make your connection, choose well. I like that for you. I do hope you take it seriously, because your planet will evolve, whether you choose to or not, or whether you choose to evolve in sync with planet Earth. So, however, you can choose to stay put. And I just want to offer you a word of caution for you to think about. So, if Earth is disrupting and erupting due to the shifts out of the carbon composition of life into the crystalline composition, you have solar flares, you have so much going on in the galaxy you don't even recognize, that it's very confusing. What I'm to say to you is, do your best to keep moving forward, to keep raising your consciousness. Remember, it's a step-by-step program. The reason 13 is so important now for you to move into is that those people who cannot change, who cannot open their hearts, that cannot be expressed from the hearts, will move on. Yes, you will see an accelerated death rate activated by the end of the year, because there's fourth and fifth dimensions are now in place very securely, but still causing a great deal of upheaval. The people who move on, who are still holding third dimensional mind, will not come back to Earth. They will take their third dimensional mind and go to a different planet to work out whatever issues they have remaining when they passed. Then at some point they may come back down to Earth. But I offer this to you so you realize that this is a crucial, it is a magnificent time, but it's crucial for you to pay attention to your personal growth, to your well-being, to your happiness and joy. It's all there for you. You know it is. It's just a question of getting up and doing it. So, I'm not bossing you tonight. I'm being very gentle with you, but I want you to realize that there are shifts and changes, and there's an evolutionary process far greater than just you as an individual. And you are very important to us because you do contribute to that collective that does create what happens to the planet. But the planet has already committed to the fifth dimension. So if you don't feel you're there, and fifth dimension is when the head and heart connect, which we spoke of earlier, I think. It's known as unity consciousness. So, do you recognize that you are one within yourself and one with every living thing on the planet and in the universe? It's awesome. Go for the gold. Do it. We like that expression. Go for the gold. You can do it. You do, however, have the choice. And I'll leave with you that. Wish you a very disruptive month. Upset the apple cart. Break the rules. Go have some fun. Live well. And know that we cheer you on. Okay, it wasn't too bad tonight. There are no chills. There's no stomach flipping. It's a good day. I'm going to close this evening with a quote from James Allen, who wrote As a Man Thinketh. It seems timely. And he wrote, as you are a being of power, intelligence, love, and Lord of your own thoughts, a person that holds the key to every situation and contains within yourself that transforming and regenerative process by which you may make the ascension what you wish. My writing is terrible. Okay. But I think you get I quoted the last part wrong. By which you may make of yourself what you will. We're in charge. We're that co-creator. It's time to accept it. Embrace it. To not just accept it. It's not just words here for the brain. It's here for the heart to express. So let's do it. And remember, it's all about love. Everything else is incidental. So thanks for joining me. I'm not sure. I don't think we will meet the first Monday in July because it's July 3rd, and July 4th is, we know, a big day. So it most likely will be the second Monday, the 10th. But keep tuned in. I may change my mind. And I want to thank you. Do you have a list of people? So I want to thank Margie and Shaw. Thank you. A guest. Okay. Lizzie, thank you. Kathy, love you. Lynn, so glad we made it. Janet and Nicole, I can't wait. I hope I see you when I'm on the South Shore in a couple of weeks. Lynn, thank you. I'm so glad you got to turn in. And Alma, welcome. Katja, love you. See you soon. And Sheila, great talking with you the other day. Thank you all for joining me. I wish you a month full of adventure and happiness and love. Take care. It's all about love. Everything else is incidental.